All right, good morning. Bruce here again. We're ready to do MSTY and MSTR. All right, so what happened yesterday? Oh, let me give you a couple of housekeeping notes. So there was a new ETF from YIELDMAX based on Airbnb. So it's a long stock, not an inverse one. I mentioned in my Coney video, I had a picture, but I can't seem to find it at the moment. So the two inverse funds that people care about, inverse being that they're bearish, right? They pay out monthly just like the longs, but they take a bearish stance, so they make more money when the asset goes down. Excuse me. So those two funds are fiat, F-I-A-T, and that's the inverse on coin. So think of it as the inverse on Coney, right? You make money and get paid when coin goes down. So those are July launches. The other one is the inverse to NVIDIA. So think of the opposite of NVIDIA, and it will be called DIPS, D-I-P-S. I had mentioned as chips because some other people said it, and I thought I remembered chips, but in fact it's D is in dog, I is in Ida, P is in Paul, and S is in Sam, DIPS. So those two will be launched in July. And there's a plethora of funds altogether, 1Xs and 2Xs, not necessarily in the same YIELDMAX strategy, but there's a whole bunch of stuff I'm going to share with you guys around that. But let's jump into MSTY. Okay. So, and there is a fund coming out of Defiance. I think it's MSTX. I don't have it right in front of me. But that fund will, in fact, be a 2X, or it will be an inverse, I should say. I can't really remember if it's a 2X or if it's just an inverse. So again, when they're not out, sometimes it's speculation. We know that they file for the symbol and for the approval. And then even then, just like with YIELDMAX, they may or may not bring it to market. Obviously, some of the ones they choose to put out, but there are some that get approved and they just set on them thinking, do we really want to launch that? So anyway, Airbnb opened. So if you're interested or want to know about that, go out to the YIELDMAX ETF site and you'll see that. So that's the latest new fund. Okay, guys, let's jump into MSTY. So ugly day, right? Just like Coney, just like YBIT, BTC and big tech. If you own NVIDIA, I didn't look at all of the other ones, but I know NVIDIA was hit hard. I know that BTC was hit hard. And to me personally, I don't know why they're linked, but they are. At some point, they won't be. I've seen this in markets where there are synergies and things trade together, and they'll do that, and then there'll be a period of time when they want. Things like the dollar. A lot of times when the dollar is strong, the market's down, right? When dollar is strong, gold is down. But they have periods where they all run together. So nobody can really say it's always this way. And that's why I say I think this whole linking Bitcoin to the tech sector and the QQQs just, to me, doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's all part of the FOMO into stuff. So anyway, let's jump into MSTY. So 7.52% down on MSTR. Wow. 5.36. So who says we always do 100%, right? We always go down equal. We have no protection. So again, not true. All right, so what happened? Well, a lot of shares were bought. Just like in Coney, people were cashing, buying, right? You run to the store, hey, there's a big sale, guys. You know, it's Black Friday, it's whatever the sale is. So clearly people piled into the funds. And if you don't own it and you've always wanted to add more and it's on sale, why not? I mean, if you average over time and if you're bullish, you'll be just fine in the Bitcoin. Is it super volatile? Absolutely. That's why we have high IVs and these yields are what they are. Okay, so with that 400 and what did I say the number was? 550,000, right? 550,000 shares. So that's a little over 5%. Well, let's look at holdings. What did it tell us? 5.68%, and I didn't even get that right. It's actually 650. So 6.72. Wow. And Coney was up in the 5s, so people are definitely buying the high yielders. In a way, I don't blame them, right? I do not blame them. Nah, it's only 550. I should have left it alone. So it's 5%, over 5%, but not 6%. Okay, guys, I'll fix it. 628. What did they do with the money? Well, they put on a buy call, sell put synthetic with 86 contracts on the current 1550, and they went and chose a 1435 because we're trading at 1372, which is 4.58% out of the money, and they wrote that for $22.10, collecting 190,000. Let's go look at the synthetic. So on the synthetic, we got about 1.6 million, right? So that reduced the loss here in June on our synthetic, but we had a big win over earlier in the other strike. So altogether, we're looking okay, right? We got pockets of where we're doing okay and pockets of where we're not. For MSTY, this is pretty assured that it's going to hit for the cycle. It's going to be in the dollar. I got us at about $1.50. I see very little unless Bitcoin just roared back into the high 60s to turn that around, and I'm not even sure based on the time it would do it right now. So let's look at the weekly. I put a new chart up here, and basically we had an inverse head and shoulders, and this was the neckline around. Actually it was running off of this one initially. We were like 1,400 off the 1,000, projecting up to 1,800. Well, we got into the 17s and started coming back down. So the thought is maybe we go to 12 and just bounce off 12 and head on up. But again, everybody has an opinion on that. I think for sure when we broke 60, we didn't necessarily confirm it, right? Because we had 1 day, 2 days, and it's sort of a confirmation. And now in the pre-market, we're up at 61. So we would have to close over 61 and have multiple days to say, okay, we're not breaking down from 60 to 52, because at 55, 55 and a half, we're at the 200-day moving average. And then further down, there's major resistance at 52. So let's see how this plays out. I doubt that it's a simple go down, bounce up, and move on up. I think it may have more down, but I'm not really worried as a shareholder, right? Because I also protected myself in Biddy, where I shared with you guys how to handle Coney and how to handle just anything, and in YBit, how to handle and how to hedge, right? And again, if you're not bearish completely, don't run out and hedge 100%, but protect yourself. Okay, let's look at these This is the 86 we added. So we're looking good because everything went down so much, right? So we're 13, 13, 13, 14, and the brand new one we put on today is 4.6, call it. Well, where do we stand with those then, since they're so far out and we've written most of them already? Well, we've collected 70%, round that, of all the weeklies expiring on 6/28. So this bounce, though, you know, that number may come down a little bit if the pre-market holds on into trading and through the day, but I don't see a reason we won't win these. The bigger issue is we want to move up for our synthetic. So let's go take a look at the holdings. So we're now down 30.8 million. We were just down 10 million, 10.9, call it 11, the day before. So, sorry, I didn't update this one. Usually I copy these down, but just know that this is yesterday's, today's is the 30 million number. So 30.8 is where we currently set. Now these all look pretty good, right? This is what adds up. Only the one that we just wrote, we wrote it at 22.1, and at the end of the day, it had come back up some. So it was at a 28%. It would have cost us 244. But again, as long as we don't go up into the 1400s and stay there, let me tell you what, MSTR is probably pre-market around 14 something. Yeah, it's 14.13. But again, I have a feeling this may bounce up and turn around and retest back in the 13s. Let's see. I mean, I hope it doesn't for my holdings, even though I've hedged a fair amount. But it would surprise me at this point. All right, what else do I have for you guys in holdings? So 2807 is where we close. Fair market value is 2805 on the NAV. Right? Look at this, 550,000 shares, right? I mean, that's what happens when you pay a lot in the past and people see it and they all are chasing yield. I'm not saying it's bad. MSTY's been a fabulous performer. I mean, you got an analyst out there with a 2,800 target on MSTR. And if we go to 125 and so forth, it'll probably get there. So again, if you're a bull, don't panic. Add some if you got dry powder. You know, hedge yourself a little bit. You know, I'm setting up to sell some puts. If you guys watch my video on how I get, you know, YIELDMAX ETFs cheap, I'll go out there on MSTY, and we're at 28. I'll try and sell a 22 for $6 or $7 or $8 or $9. Wherever it's at now, I'll wait for another drawdown and put a GTC order in to sell MSTY, you know, and sell a put. So that I'm getting the thing for $16, $17. I'm willing to really load up on that. And guess what? If the order goes off, but it never gets put to me, I'll just keep the premium. Buy more MSTY, Coney, YBID, GDXY, Tesla, you know, all the things I'm currently long on. Okay, guys. I think it would be redundant to tell you all of the places here. Let's look at payouts, because that's what's important. So this number has gone up based on what we did, right? Let's verify that on the writing of those that are 1550. Make sure I got it. Yep, I got that number here. So I forgot what it was. But bottom line is we added, right? Now, one of the things we have to cover is all the share count stuff. So we're sitting here with $1.11 across these two, right? So we're winning on our short calls, and we're winning a little bit now on our synthetic, right? Because that 1550, if more people buy in and they sell more, that's going to creep up. With this big number, it's hard to get it much. So with $1.11 to pay out in total, I'm projecting that they pay us $1.59. and that's a 68% yield annualized if every payment was $1.59 and the price was at 28.07, which it's at. So that's kind of low. But I don't know where, if they're going to feel comfortable with a $30 million loss on the books and not much money to just pay $2, because that's been traditional. Let's see. I mean, they could pay $1.10. They could pay $1.05. I don't see them psychologically paying below $1. But let's see how it shakes out. I'm just trying to tell you what I think, not what I want, right? As someone who still owns a lot of shares of MSTY, I'd love a $2, $2.50 payment, but I don't see it. Okay, guys, that's what I got for you. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I hope you had fun. Hope you were entertained. Listen, stay calm. For those of you that bought in high and you're kicking yourself and your average price is 34 or 35 and you're sweating, hang on. BTC will move up, okay? It's a volatile asset, but it's got a lot higher to go in time. Okay, guys, Bruce out. See ya.